The definition of intelligence can be perceived differently depending on the individual and prior knowledge regarding the topic. According to Britannica, the psychological definition of intelligence is the ability to learn from experience, adapt to new situations, understand and handle abstract concepts, and use knowledge to change one's environment.
The development of a human's intelligence over the period of their life is a subject many psychologists in the past researched, and will continue to in the future. A prominent figure in this field was, and still is, Jean Piaget. Before him, the theories of mental age and intermittent bursts of development were those most popular.
Piaget became interested in two concepts in regards to a person's intelligence: assimilation and accommodation. Assimilation is when new information, from experiences one has gone through, are incorporated into ideas that have already been formed before. On the other hand, accommodation is when new information, learned from a new experience, completely replaces previous ideas one had about a certain concept.
Another concept from Piaget is his 4 stages of intellectual development. The first being the sensory motor period, the second being the pre-operational, the third being concrete operational, and finally the formal operational. The sensory motor stage occurs until the age of 2, where children learn about the world around them and other things about their surroundings. From 2 to 7 years old, in the pre-operational stage, children develop their own imagination and from there their memories. From 7 to 11 years, children become much more aware of their surroundings in the concrete operational stage. Then, finally, after the age of 12, humans go through the formal operational stage, where future planning and use of logic become much more developed.
This theory of Piaget's has been supported over the years, and although new theories of intelligence development have been posed by many, Piaget's is the most used today. Over time, the definition of intelligence has changed, seen by the different ways intelligence has been measured over time. Scores on an IQ test have been created to show scholastic, academic, and organizational traits of individuals undergoing the test.
William Stern, a German psychologist, was the first to inquire into levels of intelligence, and soon after, French psychologist Alfred Binet came up with a test alongside his colleague Theodore Simon, forming the basis of all IQ tests, the Binet-Simon test. This was created in the early 1900s. Soon after, this IQ test was modified in America, where Stanford University psychologist Lewis Terman changed the test to measure the intelligence quotient in a single number in 1916, naming it the Stanford Binet test.
Other tests created more recently have been the Wechsler intelligence scales, which were made in 1955, and the WAIS-5, which is the adult version of the Wechsler intelligence scales developed a few years later. Although these intelligence tests all improve upon each other, depending on who you ask, no test can truly tell you how intelligent a person is, with the subject of what intelligence is being one many have chased over the last decades.
While much about the concept of intelligence has been revealed over the past few decades, there are still mysteries of the subject no one has been able to prove yet. But since research into intelligence of life has become much more innovative over the past decades, many clues into exactly how intelligence works have been revealed. This has been seen in the finding that being significantly smarter than another person can make you more vulnerable to stress and things like mental illness, which goes back to the discovery of the function of the brain being a genetic mutation that produced humans from apes so long ago.
Another more realistic revelation found out about those with higher intelligence quotients are more about practical reality than something that may exist beyond their fellow man, showing to be more liberal in their functioning of life. As we've seen in people like Bill Gates and Steve Jobs, people considered highly clever, innovation was and is their whole life, always trying to change something old into a brand new idea.
Finally, one more interesting finding, and much more outlandish than many, is that retinal blood vessels can be used to find out how big, although not an exact approximation, one's brain is. Although this is so unconventional that there is more of a possibility that it is not true rather than being a possible solid fact. However, theories that were made by psychologists centuries before the modern age have been proven extremely true. Even those who discovered them were considered as eccentric dreamers, So there is always a possibility of this and many other mysteries being true.
Although humans are considered a vastly more intelligent life form in comparison to animals due to our quick thinking, it has been found in a thesis by an Adelaide University that humans are not smarter than animals, just different. Due to the human thought of reasoning, language and technology being a man argument on the human side, animals have been found to be more productive than humans in social behaviors, and spatial awareness such as their reflexes. As well as these, many animals are able to leave their own impression on the environment around them via smell. This helps animals familiarize them with new environments much quicker than humans.
Even though humans have been through so many different periods of life, such as converting from the Industrial Revolution to the modern age we live in today, animals too undergo drastic change that reflect their own intelligence as well. Our inability to understand animals does not make them less smart, but in fact more so, with this being seen especially in domestic pets which are kept at home. Although considered the property of the human owners they belong to, they are able to get their owners to complete tasks for them, such as feeding them and taking them outside, even with the massive communication barrier that exists between human and animal, showing the type of intelligence animals also display.
The brain itself is not an object that can be tracked back in time to see its development. However, intelligence itself can be seen throughout human development and evolution. It can be tracked by the process humans went through as they evolved with tools and the way they lived, showing which parts of their intelligence and their brain developed the most throughout different periods in time.
With thousands upon thousands of stages of evolution, humans have been seen to make huge advancements in life. It can't be denied that the species is continuously developing higher levels of intelligence as time progresses.
Intelligence is perceived and defined differently around the world, but a large number of these definitions contain keywords such as reasoning, planning, problem solving, language and concept comprehension. Over the span of around 10 million years, the evidence of human evolution, both physically and mentally, is very apparent with the discovery of tools, written symbols, and clear evidence of their diet as it adapted to more difficultly acquired foods. Intelligence is just like any other adaptation to the environment that any species would develop over time. We know that adaptations only occur if the environment around a species demands it to change and develop its abilities. Intelligence is said to have developed for numerous purposes over time. Basic intelligence to overthrow natural selection, such as being more careful with who sexual partners might be, as well as correctly identifying safe-to-eat foods, were the first major steps into what humans are in the modern day. It reached a threshold where it was not adaptive in an evolutionary manner, but an extreme degree of intelligence. Intelligence will continuously change, especially along with the evolution of technology and society, requiring new skills and thinking processes, molding the definition of intelligence along with it. Maybe problem solving in the future won't be considered a very intelligent ability. However, the ability to learn and adapt will always be required to ensure that the species survives and knows how to deal with obstacles throughout its lifetime.